WGN viewers, if you're looking for the 9 o'clock news, you can watch it live on CLTV or at www.wgntv.com. And we are coming to you from the Big A in Anaheim, California, where tonight WGN Sports presents White Sox baseball. This is Jose Abreu, Javi Garcia, Melky Cabrera, and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with Albert Pujols, Mike Trout, and Mike Scioscia's Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Ken Harrelson with Steve Stone as we get set to bring you the finale of this four-game set. As you may or may not know, they have taken the first three, where they won the opener 2-1. Carlos Rodon really pitched well. Then they won 5-3. Johnny Danks did not pitch poorly at all. Then last night, Samardzija was just outstanding. We get beat 1-0. And if you didn't see that game last night, Jared Weaver put a clinic on. From a baseball standpoint, it was really fun to watch. From our standpoint, it was painful because we got beat 1-0. So tonight, Robin's sending a man to the mound trying to get us back on the right track.
Jose Quintana hasn't had a whole lot of luck lately, including the last time out against the Cubs. And although he threw it well, he had the same result that he's had a lot of times this year, and that is he came up on the wrong end. Went 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs. As you can see, the second lowest ERA among pitchers with 10-plus losses this year. And that typifies what he's done. Yet Robin Ventura said about him, he's a competitor. When he goes to the mound, the other teams know they're in for a fight. He's grinding the whole time. His record is one thing. We know what he is. That record, you can throw it out the window, and that pretty much says it all for Jose Quintana, who's trying to reverse a trend. He's 0-3 lifetime against these Angels.
Well, he's got another bat in that lineup tonight they did not have last evening.
They decided to rest Albert Pujols last night. That was good for Jeff Samardzija, but tonight he's back in the lineup, and Albert has been in 2 games in this series. He's homered in both of them. And although they're solo shots, he has 3 home runs in his last 4 games, and Albert has 553 home runs lifetime. He is a huge man in the middle. He's sitting in the 4th spot tonight, and hopefully Jose can hold him down, because if you can hold down Trout and Pujols, you can beat the Angels, and we'd like to salvage 1 of 4.
Well, it's the finale, so sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way. Pilsner. Cheers. It's Miller time. By Honda. Great deals are happening at the Honda Summer Clearance event. Now at your Honda dealer. Subway. Make a smart play for savory subs this season. Score more flavor at Subway restaurants. Subway, eat fresh. Ford, America's best-selling brand, inviting you to go further in our fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your Ford store or at your local FordStores.com. And by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers, who invite you to test drive our award-winning lineup today. Visit buyhyundai.com.
Chicago White Sox baseball in high definition is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. A beautiful night in Anaheim, and they've thrown the ball around the infield, which means we're ready to play baseball. I'm ready to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
All right, Steve, thank you. And once again, good evening, everyone, and welcome to White Sox baseball right here with WGN Sports. So happy you could join us. And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours. As Nick Tropiano, first pitch of the ball game, and it's taken for a strike. Outfield, for the most part, straight up. And as usual, Victorino very shallow in left field. So that pitch is foul back. Very quickly, 0-2. 77 beautiful degrees at game time.
Fabiano making his third start as an Angel after coming over in a trade from Houston. Pretty much a sinker baller. When he's right, he's going to get a lot of ground balls. If he gets it up in the zone, he's not overpowering enough to really throw it by you too often. He's a 4-pitch pitcher, the usual slider, curveball, change.
So that will necessitate a new piece of maple. Adam comes in hitting at .261, 10 homers. He's driven in 31. He's 2 for 12 in this series. And our Sox come in hitting at .248 as a club with a 3.99 team ERA. Sox, as we just mentioned at the top, well, we scored 4 runs in these 3 games.
Robin looking for a little execution on a night when he probably feels that the emergency starter and Trupiano is not going to be overwhelming.
And there's a souvenir. Will make the turn, and he'll pick up his 20th two-bagger.
Let's take a look at how Robin is going to line up our Sox for the game tonight. Adam Eaton leading it off, and it's Tyler Saladino, Jose Abreu, Melky Cabrera with Avisail Garcia in right. Then it's Adam LaRoche, Alexei Ramirez, Giovanni Soto, and Carlos Sanchez. The defense, and how they'll line up behind Tropiano is Victorino, Trout, and Calhoun in the outfield with Cowart, Ibar, Giavatella, and Crone in the infield. Chris Iannetta gets a nod behind the plate, and Tropiano on the hill.
So Saladino's got a job to do, and that'll get it done. We have had opportunities in this series to score and have come up empty each and every time.
These numbers are from AAA with Salt Lake. He was 3-5. His ERA was up there close to 5 in 15 starts. Now he's been better in the major leagues. His ERA an even 3, and this is his 3rd start.
Here's Abreu hitting at .295, 22 homers, 70 driven in. Takes first pitch. 0-1 to count.
Middle infield back, Mike Scioscia, early in the ball game, is going to concede the run unless it's hit awfully hard to either Cowart or Crone.
Abreu 3 for 10 with an RBI in the series. Breaking ball just waves at it, and he's in a big hole, 0-2.
Iannetta is pretty decent behind the plate. He's not quite as good defensively as Carlos Perez, who caught the first 3 games of this series. But Iannetta does have a little pop. Chris Perez looks like he's going to be a good one. He's just 24 years old, and he was very impressive in this series.
He had a game-winning home run last night. Samardzija was just really good, if you missed it.
Well, he battled last night because he didn't have great stuff. He got in a whole lot of trouble, was able to make the big pitch to get out of it every time he got in it.
And he had a lot to overcome.
Yeah, he did.
All right, so that's going to get the run in. Nice pick by Crone. And it's 1-0. Right now, let's check out our picks to click. Dimangio, our director and crew, well, they went with Ivy. Steve's going with Adam LaRoche and Gabe Burrell. Gabe Burrell. His crew, good guys. We're going to go with Carlos Sanchez. As here is Cabrera. Nelke 2 for 12 in the series. Hitting at 277, 8 homers and 59 driven in. RBI number 71.
And what's nice to see is good execution, a perfect bunt by Saladino, then the infield ground ball, and poof, you have a run and you're on top.
That makes a team. That gives, without being said, that gives you a little uplift right there. Simple execution.
Get him over,
baseball,
get him in.
That's it. Baseball 101. That's what Kansas City does so well. They get somebody on second base, nobody out, they get him over and they get him in. Outfield slightly to the left. Well, we swept them last week at our place. They've taken the first 3 here, so this is for the Polk County Championship.
Winning the season series, and the Angels very good at home, 39-23.
Victorino going back, he's there. But the leadoff double by Adams, sacrificed by Saladino. Abreu gets him in, and it's 1-0 good guys.
Victorino leading it off, and it's Cole Calhoun, Mike Trout, who's been all everything for this team with Albert Pujols, C.J. Cron, Eric Ibar, Johnny Giavotella, Chris Iannetta, and Caleb Howard at third base. The defense, and on the lineup behind Jose Quintana, left to right, Melky Cabrera, Adam Eaton, and Avisail Garcia. In the infield, Tyler Saladino, Alexi Ramirez, Carlos Sanchez, and Adam LaRoche at first base tonight. Giovanni Soto gets a nod behind the plate, and Jose Quintana on the hill looking for win number 7. His ERA a little above 3.5. And this is his 25th start of the year. His control's been terrific. By and large, he's kept the ball in the ballpark. He's looking for some runs, and he got one in the first inning.
So here's Victorino. .34-year-old veteran, 1 for 7 in the series with an RBI. Comes in hitting at .206 in that Angel uniform.
Angels did not make any real definitive moves at the trade deadline. David DeJesus, one of them. Shane Victorino, another one. Connor Gillespie, who was recently designated for assignment, yet another of the moves. They decided, as an organization, they felt that they could make it without going out and spending a great deal of money.
Outfield there, for the most part, straight up and spread out.
This fastball is down. It's almost out of the strike zone, and Victorino hits a rocket right by Saladino into left field.
That'll bring up the right fielder, Cole Calhoun. 268, 18 homers, 65 knocked in. 2 for 12 in this series with a homer. Takes first pitch strike. Angels hitting at .244 as a club with a 3.64 team ERA.
Saladino well off the line against a man in Calhoun who usually pulls most everything.
Victorino 5 for 5 in stolen bases. Angels play well here. They're 16 games over. On the road, 10 games under. Just like we are. We're 25 and 35 on the road. They're 24 and 34. One and one to count.
Lexi's playing him up the middle at shortstop. He'll also be covering if Victorino takes off.
That ball hit into left center field. We got a man there. Melky. One out.
Let's take a look since the All-Star break. You can tell they've dominated at home at 14 and 5. It's been miserable on the road at just 1 and 12. The batting average much better. The runs per game, almost 2 runs more at home. The run differential, well, that's obvious. And home runs, especially 26 to 8. Pitchers even throw much better here. This happens to be a great place to pitch.
So here's Trout. Mike at 295, 33 long ones, 71 knocked in. One for 8 in the series. You hold Trout to 1 hit in the first 3 games. Seems like you should win 1 or 2 of them, maybe even 3 of them. It's hard to win unless you score.
Well, he's not going to complain very much about that wrist, but you know it's got to be bothering him because he rolled over it in the outfield, and that day he had 4 hits. Since that day, he really hasn't been swinging it near as well as he can swing it, and you can tell the heavy bandage on that left wrist.
Gio.
Pretty good numbers against Jose lifetime, contributing to the fact that Jose is 0-3 against this Angel ball club.
And there's the strike. Fifth time in 14 starts on the road that we have gotten Jose a run in the first inning. I didn't think it was that many. 3-1 to count. Out 3 for 9 with a homer off Quintana in his career. There he goes. And that ball into the gap. And this game is going to be tied at
1. Bobby on number 72 as Trout rifles one off the wall in right center. Mike Scioscia decides the hit and run would be in order, and Victorino didn't take off right away, not wanting to get picked off. But when you see the ball hit this hard, you don't even have to hold up. You just keep on going. It's a fastball right down the middle. And Trout with terrific power to all fields. It's a bullet. And that lead didn't last very long.
So here's Pujols. Two for 7. 2 home runs in this series. Takes a strike. Well, I think Scioscia was helping Trout out. He's been struggling at the plate. Putting the head rolling sometimes will take the chaos out of a guy's mind.
Make him concentrate on the other way also.
That's why he put it on. Right underneath us. 553 home runs this man owns. He has 1 off Quintana. He's 4 for 12 against him.
You explained to John Q. Reynolds, who sits next to us up here, that you have very good hands and he can come out from under the counter? He was bailing on that foul ball.
Wolves. What a play. Outfield straight up. Not too much time, and this is where Jose really gets in trouble a lot of times, working too slow. If he works slow, he usually gets hit pretty hard.
And I'm very sure that Don Cooper has talked to him about keeping up his pace, which he does very well with nobody on. And then all of a sudden, it's like he hits the wall. And it's hard to get rhythm if you don't work yourself in the same rhythm you have when all things were going well.
Coop's one of the best, and he has talked to him. But sometimes the players got to understand it. It's not what you do. It's, if I make a mistake, how am I going to make it? If he makes a mistake, it should be because he works too fast rather than too slow. Now, how many times is that going to be? 3-2.
Albert's struck out less than 10% of the time at home this year, which is somewhat remarkable for a guy with the power that he has.
Sanchez hanging out around second. Ball hit sharply. that is out number 2. So 2 down to C.J. Cron, 25-year-old. Big, strong right-handed hitter.
Wonderful food at the ballpark. I don't think you could have a better seat than that.
You know, it's gotten to the point now that every park you go to has got great food. Every park you go to. It's like having a restaurant in Chicago or New York. If you don't have good food, you're not going to be open very long. Yes. That'll retire the side, but the single by Victorino, the double by Trout. This game is tied at 1.
A.m. The first 500 fans to purchase a special ticket offer can join us on the outfield warning track of U.S. Cellular Field to take selfies with select players. Visit whitesox.com/selfie Sunday for tickets and more information.
All right. Let's start all over. We're tied at 1. It'll be Ivy. Ivy to lead it off. Takes first pitch strike.
Pretty good breaking ball, especially when you throw the first fastball in the inside corner and then throw 179 miles an hour and break it well away.
Reroutes his swing and the gun. Caleb Cowart. That's 1 out.
Check out the White Sox baseball blog at WGNTV.com, sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your local nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 37 years. To join the nation, visit jeffvuk.com because Nationwide is on your side.
So here's Adam LaRoche at 207, 10 homers, 37 knocked in. That game last night, if you missed it, was, as I said, a clinic. Jared Weaver did not throw a pitch over 86 miles an hour last night. Threw a lot of them in the high 60s.
And then look at those numbers. 10-2 lifetime against their Sox with an ERA under 2. He just kept throwing slow curveball and then a slower curveball and one even slower than that.
3-0 the count. Well, he sure made some good pitches when he had to. There's a strike because we had men on first and third, one out, couldn't do anything with it. Had a man on third again, one out, couldn't do anything with it. Leadoff double by Sanchez in the fifth. Trout. Two down. So here's Alexei. He's 1 for 10 in the series.
The young lady who came all dressed up to the ballpark.
He did not go.
Sox play a whole lot of close games. 56% of the games played have been decided by 2 runs or less. It's pretty amazing, including 11 of the last 15, so you can tell why execution is paramount to this ball club.
Well, there's 2 things you have to do. We talked about it for a long time. If you want to be dangerous in September and have a chance to go to postseason, you got to play well in your division, and you have to win close ball games. And we haven't done neither.
Yeah, the division has been problematic this year. In fact, against the Central, 20-31. And also, most of the teams that are sitting there looking at postseason play or trying to get there dominate at home, and the Sox haven't been able to do that too often. In fact, the home record, 30-28. Look at some of the other teams that are there. Yankees 35-21, Toronto 40-23, Kansas City 42-20, even Minnesota 38-24, with Houston 42-20. So the teams that are really going after it dominate at home.
Got him. Well, the Angels are, as I mentioned, 39-23. Givitella and Ionetta. looper, and playing him shallow, makes the catch.
Now we got a good break on this ball, and Ibar, who doesn't have a whole lot of pop, especially from the right side, looping it to right field, he makes the catch.
So here's Giovatello. Hitting at 267, 3 homers. He's driven in 40.
Nobody was watching the progress of the Chase Utley deal more than Johnny Giovatello, because it was rumored and substantiated that the Angels were going after Chase Utley. As it turned out, the Dodgers got him.
That's tough. Got a shot at him with a good throw. Got him. Beautiful. Throws off just a little bit, but a good job by Alexei to make a quick tag.
Giovatello had 2 bases on his mind when he left the batter's box, but he probably underestimated the strength of Javi's arm. He tried to get there, and Alexei tags the right arm. Has to come all the way across, and he got him.
So here's Chris Iannetta. Iannetta, who did not play in the first 3 games, comes in hitting at 180, 8 homers and 29 driven in. Simon of the Tigers. Good 1-hit shutout against Texas.
Texas has been a pretty hot club going into Detroit. Detroit handled the Cubs in 2 games in Chicago before going back to start a homestand.
Cubs leading Atlanta 7-0. It's after 6, so wrap that one up and send it to Cooperstown with Arrieta on the bump.
Arrieta is going to be the first major league pitcher to get to 15 wins.
High pop up right side. Sanchez. And that'll retire the side. Beautiful peg and tag.
On August 28th, presented by St. Xavier University. Come out to the ballpark for a tribute to the King of Rock and Roll, featuring performances by an Elvis tribute artist and a post-game fireworks show. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com. Always a great night at the ballpark. Elvis night on August 28th.
Giovanni Soto will lead it off for us. Top of the third inning, tied at 1. Soto, Sanchez, and back to the top of the order with Adam Eaton. Just off the corner. High souvenir right side.
Angels made a pretty good trade when they acquired Trippiano. They got him along with Carlos Perez, who we saw in the last 3 games. They sent Hank Conger to Houston.
One out. Second strikeout for Trippiano.
Last year with Houston, Trippiano with 1-3, his ERA a little above 4.5. Houston's got a whole lot of young pitching. We saw a lot of that when we faced the Astros, so he became expendable. They wanted a good backup catcher, and Hank Conger, a switch hitter, can be that backup guy for them.
Here's Carlos. 3 for 7 in the series, hitting at .237, 3 homers and 18 knocked in. Makes the play, 2 down. Here's Adam. He singled and scored. Excuse me, a double. That was his 20th double.
Those two just met one another and came to the game together. Baseball brings lots of folks together.
eHarmony.com. Strikeout, and we'll go to the bottom of the third, still tied at 1. our guy, leadoff hitter, Adam Eaton, led off the first with a double, came around to score. Their guy, Victorino, led off with a single. He came around to score. And we're tied at 1.
We've seen Caleb Coward now in 2 games. He's hit from the left side and the right side, and not much contact from either side.
No, he is 0 for 6. Outfield straight up. And the count, 0-2.
Caleb's got some power. Gave up switch hitting for a bit, decided just to swing left-handed, but apparently he'd rather see the breaking ball come into him than away from him, because he went back to switch hitting and was hitting .323 in AAA before his call-up. Fredo Griffin almost took that one in the side. So still pretty good reflexes for the one-time, long-time shortstop.
And a good shortstop. A real good shortstop. Sanchez got it. 1 out. So here's Victorino. He got a low fastball and just smoked it in the left field for a single. Takes first pitch strike.
Victorino originally got to the major leagues with San Diego in 2003. Really came to prominence with Philadelphia, however.
Reaches out, pops it up. Carlos, 2 down.
Sox fans, join us on Saturday, August 29th at 6:10 as our White Sox take on the Mariners. Also, first 20,000 fans will receive a Jermaine Dye World Series moment bobblehead presented by Pepsi. For tickets, call 866-SOX-GAME or visit whitesox.com. More than a few Sox fans have made their way to Southern California to watch this series.
Yeah, there are always a lot of Sox fans out here. In fact, most parts we go to. And why not? One of the original franchises. As that pitch was a strike and he didn't get it.
I think both Jose and Giovanni Soto a little surprised that Mike Estabrook did not make that call.
Full ball at the plate. This guy's fun to watch. He will definitely turn it loose.
You see where the first pitch was. And the second pitch, a good breaking ball. 2006, the White Sox had Jermaine Dye and Jim Thome hit 40-plus home runs as teammates. And the Angels are chasing that with Mike Trout and Albert Pujols. 33 home runs apiece.
So here's Trout. He just ripped a double into right center field. And that plated Victorino. That was his 23rd two-bagger. And a strike. Had a few shutouts today. We mentioned Detroit shutting out Texas 4-0. Pittsburgh shuts out San Francisco and Jake Peavy 4-0. Tampa Bay and Chris Archer shuts out Houston 1-0. Top of the fifth in Baltimore, Minnesota shutting out the Orioles 5-0. Boston beat Kansas City 4-1. Two out, one on, 2-1 to count. Cleveland edged the Yankees 3-2 across. Tomlin over and over. Bottom. So the count 3-1.
Different situation because there are two outs here, but on a 3-1 count in the first inning, Victorino was running. This time it's Calhoun out. The same 3-1 count.
Calhoun 4 for 5 in stolen bases.
One thing that is predictable about baseball, and it's not a predictable game, but when you throw to first base to chase a runner back, the fans will boo.
And there's ball 4. So 2 on, 2 out. First walk issued by Quintana, and bring up Pujols. In that Tampa Bay 1-0 shutout over Houston, Chris Archer also threw a one-hitter. Had 11 strikeouts.
For a whole lot of young pitchers that don't get acclaim but have dominated the sport, Chris Archer is one of those guys that has overwhelming stuff. Probably the sky's the limit as far as his future is concerned, but you just don't hear near as much about him as you do of other pitchers in different places.
Tampa Bay. Yeah, Chris Archer, in case you don't know how he is, he can throw 98 a lot of times in a ball game.
The ball just seems to pop out of his hand, and he's really a story and an object lesson for a lot of young pitchers in the game, only in that this is his third organization. And he came up with Cleveland, originally traded to the Cubs, couldn't get the ball over the plate either place, then got sent off to Tampa Bay, where now he's come of age, and he's one of the real good ones around.
Want to know the count? Archer with 205 strikeouts. He's 3 behind Chris Sale.
He joins a legion of other very good players who in the course of their careers have been traded in a deal that included Matt Garza going the other way.
Two and 0. So we had 2 out, nobody on. Base hit. Soft Kansas City special by Calhoun. The walk to Trout. Pujols with a 2-0 catbird seat.
Once again, Jose Quintana has slowed it way down.
And once again, there's a rule.
Well,
that's not good for business.
Lost his rhythm and walked Trout. First walk of the night. I don't think there's too many situations where Albert does not have the 3-0 green light.
And that'll load him up.
Well, here comes Don Cooper, and maybe the suggestion will be to get a pitch you want to throw and throw it.
Well, he's got to tell Gio that as well. Put a sign down and go.
But that's what he's doing most of the talking to. He came out, and the first guy he talked to exclusively was Gio. Now he's talking to Jose.
Mark Burley, in 13 years in a White Sox uniform, never shook off a sign.
It didn't matter who was catching.
No. He had a few catchers in 13 years.
I mean, every pitcher has a guy they really enjoy throwing to. And most pitchers have a hard time if a young catcher comes up or something along those lines. You might not be thinking along the same lines, but that's what was most unique about Mark Burley. It didn't matter what the catcher called or who the catcher was. He just threw it and made it work.
Worked pretty well for a long time. Sox pack, 2 down. So Chrome hits it hard right to Saladino, and that'll retire the side. They threaten, don't score. We're into the 4th, tied at 1.
do things you love. Visit Athletico.com and start defining your pain-free inner athlete today. Athletico, the official physical therapy provider of the Chicago White Sox. Athletico, better for everybody.
Saladino, Abreu, and Cabrera face Nick Tropiano. Takes first pitch strike at 91. Count 1-2.
He's throwing most of his fastballs on the inside part of the plate, which seems to be one of the characteristics of pitching coach Mike Butcher, because most of their pitchers do the same thing.
And there is a base hit. So good speed aboard. He was 5 for 7 in stolen bases. Down in Charlotte, he was 25 for 27.
Tropiano makes a mistake here. You'll see where it shows up on Xfinity pitch tracks. It is a fastball. He's thrown on the outer third, and he got it up. And at 91, can't afford to make too many location mistakes.
There's Abreu. He had a good at bat. Eaton is saying a double. Sacrificed over the third by Saladino. And then with the infield playing back, all Jose did was just hit a little ground ball to shortstop to score out. That's why you should not turn the head of the bat over with a man on third and less than 2 out. If he turns the head of the bat over, it's going to be a ground ball to third. Abreu now with 71 RBIs. Tropiano out of West Islip, New York. 6'4", 200 pounds, 24 years old. There he goes. One play is going to be the first. Nice play. Ranging far to his left by Ivar.
Ivar knew a couple of things as he went to his left. One, he had no play at second base because Saladino was running, and two, he had some extra time because the ball is hit hard. So bidding for a base hit as he takes it right back up the middle.
Well, we mentioned in game one, some of the Angel people talked to, said he's going to weigh about 125 pounds when the season's over, with how he's been having to play short. First pitch strike. Melky, pick him up, Melky. motion, had him way out in front.
With runner at second base and only one out, the league average is 39%, where you score at least one run. The Sox have done it right about league average. And the Angels have given up at least one run below league average. Here's a look at Mike Butcher. We talked about him. Been a good pitching coach for a while, and now Iannetta going out to have a word with his young right-hander.
To the count. And that's foul. And look at Cabrera saying no. Ed Hickox, the umpire at first.
Hickox right on the line, and he points right away to the foul side as Crone can't get to it. Melky had a real good look at it. Of course, not exactly an unbiased opinion, but he thought it was absolutely down the line.
So that's it, Melky. You got to come back. Well, let's put it this way. If you missed these games, this has not been at best, the umpiring in this series has been seedy, very seedy. And our players have been talking about it after the games. You don't see that very often for our guys. That's one of the main topics of discussion.
Melky did crack his bat, so he goes back to get another one.
Howard had a good game behind the plate. That's been it. Two. Boy, there's a emergency hack right there.
Melky knew that ball had a part of the plate and took it right out of Iannetta's glove.
He's pretty good at that.
He realized, wait a second, I better be hacking. So in the better late than never situation, he fouls it off.
That's way outside. 2-2.
That one got a piece of Iannetta, and so like Esterbrook comes out. Melky with runners in scoring position has been very good. And Tyler is in scoring position.
Watch out. Full count. And there's ball 4. So here comes Avi. That's the first walk issued by Tropiano. Backed up until that single by Saladino, we retired 9 in a row.
And here comes Mike Butcher.
So 1 out, 2 on. Ivy grounded out. Caleb Coward at third base. There's a strike right there. Pull the string on him, and the count 0-1.
Outfield and infield pretty much straight up.
And that's off the plate to even the count. Can't do anything with it, and we're still 1-1.
Cole Calhoun, looping single into right center field. Then a couple of walks of Trout and Pujols, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Then a meeting at the mound in which Don Cooper says, I'll tell you what, throw a ground ball on the first pitch, then maybe we'll get you out of the inning with no runs. So like any good pitching coach, you impart the knowledge, your pitcher executes, and it's out of the inning with no runs. Our Mazda replay.
It'll be Ibar, Giavotella, and Ionetta. Ibar had a little looper into right field that Bobby came on, made a nice little catch. 0-1 the count.
It's pretty difficult to walk Eric Ibar. He swings at just about everything from both sides of the plate.
Two and one.
There was an example of an over-aggressive swing and a pitch that was way out of the zone. See where the 4 showed up on the Xfinity pitch tracks. That one came up and hit him in the side of the head. He goes out, tries to get it, and bounces back up and gives him a face burger.
Count hangs at 2 balls, 2 strikes. The 31-year-old veteran. Full count. That's a fair ball, he says, and a beautiful play. Nice Alavino.
Knowing Ibar's got very good speed, this is a terrific play.
Well, they were working on that very hard in batting practice.
He goes to the line and into foul territory, gets rid of it quickly with something on it, and throws a strike over to Adam LaRoche.
They worked on that for about, I would say, at least 5 minutes. Hitting in fungos into foul territory, right down the line and into foul territory.
Not an easy play to make, especially when you've got a guy who can run.
Giavotella, he singles, trying to stretch it into a double, and Avi threw him out.
On our Xfinity Speed replay, we'll take a look at Giavotella getting a little greedy. Avi comes over, does a 360 spin, and throws it quickly enough to cut him down at second base. Nice tag by Alexi Ramirez. The Speed Replay is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
So here's Chris Iannetta. He popped up to Sanchez, and he takes ball 1. Strike. After this game, we board our charter, head on up to Seattle. 3-game set before returning home.
That matchup tomorrow night with Chris Sale and Felix Hernandez should be a dandy.
He gone. That is the first strikeout, Barkintown.
Looking left field at U.S. Cellular Field. It's accessible from the 100, 300, and 500 levels. Young Sox fans can learn baseball fundamentals from Chicago White Sox Training Academy coaches. Space features batting and pitching cages, base running areas, and more skill instruction. It's all from Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
So here's Adam LaRoche. Went out to Mike Trout in center field. Game tied at 1. Top of the 5th inning. 1-2-0 for us. 1-4-0 for them. Both runs coming in the first inning. Both being scored by leadoff hitters. Had a beaten double. Sacrificed over. Abreu got him in. Victorino single with 1 out. Mike Trout doubled into right center. Got him in. And that is through the shift. So here comes Alexei. He was called out on strikes.
Tropiano throws a lot of ground balls. And when he's right, he can sink it pretty well.
Well, he's got good movement. And Mike Butcher, you gotta like what he does with his pitchers. He's got all these pitchers pitch inside.
And that's regardless of what kind of velocity they have, whether it's Garrett Richards at 97 or Tropiano at 91, 92. They're going to go inside and force you to try to keep him out of there.
And there's a shot by Alexei. Well, that's like an age-old query, so to speak. You get the majority of guys will tell you the slower you pitch, your velocity is, the more you got to pitch inside. Then you got a percentage of guys that say if you are not a hard thrower, you can't pitch inside, which I disagree with.
No, I think you can go inside. The question is just how far you're going to go inside, and if you go in a couple inches off the plate in situations where guys are apt to be swinging, then you're in pretty good shape. If you don't have a big fastball, going inside for a strike isn't necessarily the greatest pitch.
No. Gio squared the bunt and takes the ball.
McEwing going through his set of signs. Gio does not have a sacrifice bunt this year.
One of the great things I heard about talking with pitchers over the years, watch out, was from one of the best that ever lived, maybe the best that ever lived for a 6-year period, Sandy Koufax. He said, having dinner one night in Boston, he said, show me a pitcher can't pitch inside, and I'll show you a loser. Squares the bunt, takes the strike. 2-1.
Normally, if you're ahead of a hitter, or in this situation, if you know a hitter's going to bunt, you like to throw high fastballs.
And that ball hit down the right field corner. And it's foul, says Ed Hickox.
Both
just foul.
The hit and run put on, and unfortunately this one slices just on the outside part of the line.
Well, that's symptomatic with when you're struggling. If you're going good, that's a fair ball. It's going to stay fair. When you're going bad, it's going to go foul.
A pretty good idea. After a couple of attempted sacrifices, he allowed Gio to swing. He had the runners going. And if it had stayed in the park fair, it probably would have been 2 runs.
2-2 pitch. And there, that will get the job done. This is bobbled. Everybody's safe.
Total lack of communication as to who was going to take the bag. And as it turned out, nobody was going to take the bag.
Well, a 2-2 count, nobody was expecting to bunt.
So, Gio is going to get the job done with 2 strikes. And that is a base hit.
You'll take it. Don't stop now, boys. And here is Carlos. He hit the ball very hard down to Crone at first base. Big hack at that changeup. Not too hard. Not too hard. He's the guy in trouble, not you.
With bases loaded and nobody out, Sox have scored at least 168% of the time. But the league average, 87%.
And there's a base hit. Alexei now is going to be held as Trout hits the cutoff man, and a good job by Joe McEwing right there. And the Sox take a 2-1 lead on Gabe Morrell and his crews. Pick to click.
Four straight base hits. Is this one back up the middle? The outfield is not overly deep, and with nobody out, there is absolutely no reason to gamble.
Well, Mike Trout has made a couple of very impressive throws against us. That couple with no outs. Ergo, bases still loaded.
And Mike Butcher out there once again with Alvarez loosening up in the bullpen. There is Jose Alvarez. Javier number 19. Carlos Sanchez, who's hit the ball hard twice.
Here's Adam. Takes first pitch strike. Post pitch, and it goes Adam's way. 1-1. Pitch, big pitch, goes Adams' way. 2-1. Changeup.
Probably the best changeup he's thrown tonight, and he had Adam way out in front of it.
Ball into left field. That's going to get Alexei home. Yeah, bad throw by a veteran right there. That's we'll take it.
Well, I'm certain that Mike Scioscia Probably every other coach in that dugout is going to tell Shane Victorino that that's not winning baseball. Mike just looking out there going, wow.
That's.
Well, he throws a rainbow. He takes him out of a double play situation. Both runners move up, and Adam drives in his 32nd run. So pretty much a gift.
That's surprising right there for a veteran. So here's Tyler. He hit a sacrifice bunt and then a hard single in the left field. That was leading off last inning. You got Cone playing even with the bag well off the line at first. Tower. Got to step back of the line. The bag, I should say, and off the line at third. Just foul. We have tried a sacrifice bunt one time this year. A squeeze bunt, I should say. One time. That's going to fall for a base hit. So Gio scores. Sanchez into third. And it's a 4-1. Sox lead.
9th run batted in by Tyler. And 5th hit of the inning.
Abreu. Twice he's going out to short. First time knocked in a run. Big rip right there. That 91-mile-an-hour fastball. Four 7-0 for us. 1-4-0 for them here in the top of the 5th inning. Will even the count. Calhoun and right a couple steps. And pitch downstairs, 2 balls and a strike. 1 out, 2 on. 3 in. Quick feet. Clipiano has. That evens the count. That changeup. Jose. Big run out there at third base. Pitch out. 3-2.
You don't see that very often. For a reason. Especially with a rookie on the mound.
Infield, they're in. There he goes. And that's upper tank souvenir.
The fan made a very nice catch on the fly, brought his glove, and made the play. Plus, he happens to be a Sox fan, so that's good.
Bullet, just foul. We have had several very, very close foul balls.
And what they're checking to see is if that one is indeed foul.
And they want to check it. They want to check it out. Kicked up some chalk.
It looks like a fair ball.
Kicked up some
like
chalk.
It hit the outside part of the line.
It is.
And sometimes an umpire on a ball hit that hard can't turn around fast enough to make a definitive call. That time the call fell to Dana DeMuth. And from this angle on that replay, it looked like he didn't make the right call.
There's the chalk.
Now Dana was looking at it, so he did get his head around in time, but right there, that hit absolutely hit the chalk, or in this case the paint.
Lengthy review.
I would think you'd have to send one run home and put the runners at second and third.
Yep. Fair ball.
And they're going to bring in one run. And I believe they got to put them at second and third. So good review. And a 5-1 lead.
So now they're going to allow him to score. Sosier's saying why. Wow, that's surprising. I'm glad.
It's probably umpire's discretion. Usually
they can use umpire's discretion in that situation,
and that's the way it's going to be. So that's going to knock Tropiano out of the game, and it's a 6-1 Sox lead.
Well, the double, that's his 22nd. 2 RBIs now, as I mentioned, he has 72. So Tropiano departs. Alvarez comes on, and we'll be back.
ERA a little above 3.5 on for the 43rd time. Opponent's hitting just .218, which is a very good number. 42 hits and 51 in the third, so he inherits Abreu at second base. Jose with 3 driven in tonight, so a big night for him. And a big lead for Jose Quintana, something he's not used to.
So here's Melky. He's 0 for 1. He's going out to left, and he walked. Don't stop. Pick him up. Swung around to the right. A lot of room between Victorino and that left field line. And there's a line shot. So 2 down. And that'll bring up Avi. Avi 0 for 2 tonight. This is a big game in several ways. First of all, you don't want to get swept. Next, try to break an 8-game losing streak here in this ballpark. And another, win the season series, because for the last 4 years the Angels have won the season series. So Avi is going to be intentionally walked to get to LaRoche, who started this off with a single.
And I would think, and I'm just saying this with no real motivation.
All right, Senator.
That's probably
Senator, go ahead.
The biggest hit of the game was Adam leading off his inning with a base hit.
Oh, I don't think so.
Turned everything around.
Oh, I don't think so. he comes. He indeed did start this rally off with a base hit. And you definitely sound like a politician.
And this is political time of the year.
It's been fun. I would say that. There's first pitch strike. Adam also went out to center field his first at bat. 6-8-0 for us, 1-4-0 for them. This is the finale. Breaking ball got him, but we send 10 men to the plate. We score 5 runs, and we lead it 6-1.
Home game will receive a Merck's cheese card good for 25 cents off their next Merck's purchase at participating grocery stores. Like your bases and your burgers loaded? Well, then you're a Merck's man. Visit and purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
Six-one good guys here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Caleb Cowart. Then back to the top of the order with Shane Victorino and Cole Calhoun. Cowart 0 for 1. Grounded out to Sanchez. Takes first pitch strike. With you tomorrow night. Safeco Field in Seattle. Great Pacific Northwest as there's a strike. Chris Sale against Felix Hernandez. That game will be over Comcast. Then Saturday right back here on WGN with Carlos Rodon against Vidal Munoz.
Terrific matchup as Chris Sale will be looking for number 12. Felix Hernandez with a 3.65 ERA, 147 strikeouts in 153 innings. And Chris Sale, 208 strikeouts in 157 and a third innings. Two terrific pitchers going head to head.
And you know Felix is going to want a little payback from that last outing he had.
That was a real pounding.
Oh,
rarity for him.
12 hits he gave up. I believe it was an inning and 2/3. 10 runs earned. Victorino was 1 for 2. Bit of a gap out there in left center. For the most part, though, the outfield straight up. Two down. So the line drive to Carlos. And with that, Cole Calhoun is lined out hard to left center field. Melky made a running catch. And he hit a little Kansas City special base hit into right field in third. Had a little part of the plate, didn't get the call. .65 knocked in. Scored 55 runs.
Both of those power numbers an all-time high for Calhoun, who just keeps getting better.
He just keeps going the way he's going about his business. He's going to beat 25, 30 home runs. Close to 100 RBIs. One pitch. Yes, he did.
And Giovanni wants the appeal, and the appeal was ruled no swing.
No swing.
Quick swing. He keeps that front shoulder in.
He doesn't give an inch on left-handers.
No, for any hitter, if they start pulling off the ball, they're not going to be able to handle anything middle out. He stayed right there, and that ball was middle out, and he hit it hard.
Trout, RBI double in the first inning, and he walked in the third.
Keeps a perfect night going for Mike Trout. Now 2 for 2 with a walk sandwiched in between.
So here's Albert. Pujols has grounded to short. He hits that ball hard, sharply to the left side, and he walks. 4 for 13 lifetime. Alcantara with a homer. First pitch strike.
All-time home run leaders, and Albert Pujols is right there at 553, situated in number 15 behind Manny Ramirez, Reggie Jackson, Rafael Palmeiro, and Harmon Killebrew. On that last pitch, by the way, Soto got crossed up. Unfortunately, was able to put the glove up. Then went out and had a word with Quintana, because when you're looking for something and getting the fastball, you're lucky to get a glove on it. It looks like crossed up for the second time. And he's saying, look, I'll put him down, but you got to throw me something that I call. And now Don Cooper's coming out. He wants to know exactly what's going on.
Well, I doubt very seriously if Cole Calhoun's giving Albert any signs up.
No, that's not it.
So, I mean, if that's the case, if you're worried about complicating the signs, why do it?
No, I think that Gio would just like Jose to throw what he calls.
And throw it quickly. Play. Souvenir right side, so 2 on, 2 out, 1-2 to count. Twos on that board. Zay trying to beat these halos for the first time in his career. He came in 0-3. Well, Calhoun is going to score, and it's a 6-2 ball game.
Albert drives in run number 70.
Two out, nobody on, and 3 straight hits.
He goes out of the strike zone that time and takes it right back up the middle, hits it off the end of the bat, but couldn't have thrown it in a better spot. They narrow the lead to 4.
His Crone, he's gone out twice to Saladino. 2-1 the count. Tony's a very strong guy. Can take you out anywhere in the count 0-2. Blocked nicely by Gio.
The ball way in front of the plate. Took it off the chest protector and hit the ball right in front of him.
Good pitch. Get him on the fist, so the count hangs to the ball and 2 strikes.
Here's the hitting coach, Don Baylor, was a terrific player for many years. And he was no stranger to getting hit. He used to get hit with regularity.
He was a terrific leader. Every ball club he was on, he was a terrific leader. He was a tough guy. And if you threw it at him, you're going to hit it. He didn't move very well up there, didn't intend to. Two and 2 the count with 2 out, 2 on, and 1 in. Take him right here. You don't want to go full. Hard high, slow low. Big on. And that'll retire the side. It was a strike. He'd come up with 1, and we lead it 6-2.
Subway to 97999 right now for your chance to win 6 meals from the Simple 6 menu from Subway. Message and data rates may apply. Subway, eat fresh.
Top of the 6th inning. Alvarez on the bump. In relief with Nick Topiano. Alexei, he's 1 for 2 with a run scored. Takes it high and wide. 6-8-0 for our guys, 2-7-0 for their guys here in the finale. 2-0 the count. There's one. That's inside. The ball hit hard, but they got a man there.
Sox fans, show your team pride with White Sox checking and an official White Sox debit card, only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/White Sox to learn more. Wintrust Bank, member FDIC. For the Angels, it doesn't get a whole lot easier as Toronto comes to town over the weekend. And those Blue Jays can hit the baseball.
Yeah, I imagine they're in town now. There's a strike. Gio had a bunch single last inning, which turned out to be a big play on a 2-2 count. Then on first and second, nobody out. Had Tyler Flowers bunt the other day with 2 strikes successfully. As he gets him, so 2 out.
This one a pretty good pitch, shaving off the inside corner.
Here's Sanchez. Going to play twice, hit the ball very hard both times. Last inning, RBI single, and he also came around to score. That's out of play.
Carlos turns around to hit from the right side for the first time. Right-handed. Not near as many opportunities, but hitting just 155 as opposed to over 260 from the left side.
Change up headed way out in front off bounce.
Ever known any switch hitters with the identical stroke from both sides of the plate, or were they both vastly different?
I think the closest one was Eddie Murray.
Yeah, he was pretty well.
You couldn't tell the difference,
No.
you know. Oh, nice pick right there by Cowell. And that'll retire the side. After 5.5, it is 6-2 Sox. Giavatello and Iannetta. Ibar 0 for 2. He's looped up to right, and then Saladino made a beautiful play to get him. Going over to the line into foul territory. And a quick release and a strong throw to first. First pitch strike.
Ibar apparently didn't like that call, but it had most of the plate.
Pitch. Ball hit sharply. Nice. The gun. Perfect bag. Beautiful play.
Ibar could have easily had 2 hits. Instead, he's got no hits. A couple of defensive gems on the left side.
Here's Giavatello. Single, then he was thrown out trying to stretch it into a double by R.B. Garcia. He also is grounded to Alexa. 6-8-0 for us, 2-7-0 for them. Just joining us. There's a strike. I mentioned we'll be boarding our charter heading on to Seattle. Expected to arrive there in wee hours of the morning, around 2:30, 2:45. That's up high. Flying to Seattle too many times at night.
You don't find the Angels with too many day getaway games either.
Well, that's the reason that teams reciprocate. When they come to play you at your place during the week, you have a night game on getaway day. The Angels and Baltimore for years have been the two that just wouldn't do it. He gone. Third strikeout now for Tampa. But I love flying into Seattle. It's one of the most beautiful sights. Puget Sound, very verdant. Beautiful, beautiful green.
I'll wake you up to take a look.
You got any flashlights? We start going to that landing, there'll be a lot of guys.
They won't be seeing this one?
No, there'll be a lot of guys sleeping. Iannetta has popped up to second and struck out. Takes a strike. 0-2 the count. And Michael Taylor of the Washington Nationals, credited with hitting the longest home run in the major leagues this year, measured by StatCast at 493 feet.
And you can just imagine where he hit it. That was in Colorado.
There's a base hit, back bouncer. So the single. Here's Caleb Cowart. Switch hitting third baseman who is 0 for 2. A grounder to second and a grounder to third.
Caleb has his family here to watch his major league debut. Still looking for that first hit.
Tomorrow night would be a good time to get it.
So which of those Torontonians?
Count evens at 1 to the 23-year-old. Young man that most teams want to sign as a pitcher. A 95-mile-an-hour fastball. High pop-up, Saladino. Makes the play, and that'll retire the side. So we're into the 7th, leading 6-2.
A week-long initiative dedicated to giving back to the community we call home. Sox Serve Week will take place the week of August 24th. For more information, visit whitesox.com/SoxServe.
Adam Eaton leads it off. There's the bunt. That's a good one. You can just stick it in your pocket, boys. That's his second hit. He's now 2 for 3 with a sacrifice fly and a run scored.
Most left-handers fall off the mound to the third base side, and it is very easy. If you can get the bunt down, you can do this all day. As you see, Alvarez did fall off the mound. Adam with an easy base hit, and that's going to drive Alvarez from the game as Mike Scioscia comes out and takes him out. So with Cam Bedrosian coming into this, we'll step out and be back after these messages. Minor leagues. He's 1-0 this year. His ERA 4.74 on for the 19th time. Opponent sitting 3.11, which is a big number. He's had control problems. 11 walks in 19 innings. And he inherits Adam Eaton at first base and nobody out here in the 7th.
His dad was pretty good chunker.
Cy Young Award winner.
Yep. Steve. So here is Saladino. Was perfect on this evening. A sacrifice bunt, 2 singles, an RBI, and a run scored, and 3 good plays defensively. That one at 96 upstairs. And Jake Arrieta, first of 15 wins. As far as we're concerned, it's hard to believe anybody beat him.
He's got 12 consecutive quality starts. And with the stuff he threw against us, you're right.
Best stuff we've seen all year from anybody against us. One and one. Dugout.
Nate Jones loosening in the pen.
Game 7-1. Rizzo hit his 24th. Addison Russell hit his 8th. That Addison Russell got a chance to be some kind of player.
He's just 21 years old.
That's outside. Arrieta went 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Sporting a ERA of 2.30. Almost got it by him. Just joining us, each team with a run in the first. Then we put a 5 spot on them in the 5th. They came up with 1 in the 5th, and that's the way it stands, 6-2. Picks up his 12th stolen base.
He got a very big jump, and it was not a good throw. Able to beat the play at second.
Pick him up, Tyler. Chases one up out of the zone. So 1 out. That is the one thing that Tyler's got to work on right there.
Hard to lay off that pitch.
Well, you have to have it in your mind. Make him get it down. Make him get it down. Make him get it down. And if you have that thought and you're at the plate, you got you ready, you're ready, make him get it down. That helps a little bit. If you're just looking for the ball, you're going to chase it. Brayu, Jose, a 2-run double. He also picked up an RBI with a ground ball in the first inning. He had 73 on the season. That one at 95 for a strike.
7 times, 3+ RBIs this year. For Jose, it hasn't quite been what last year was, but he was nicked up this year. It wasn't the same for a while. But he's starting to come on strong. And he's still got enough games to go to get these numbers pretty close to where he was last year.
Well, he's been nicked up a lot more this year than he was last year. Six.
Looked like Jose Mota made a great catch.
He got his glove.
He bought his glove, and it's a good thing he did.
That ball had a little mustard on it.
Yep.
Breaking ball, no.
This is to the booth just off to our right. And a pretty good catch. In fact, a very good catch. Saving his partner, which is, in essence, your job.
Ace him inside, so a full count. Two down. Cam's got himself a nice arm.
Threw that one on the outside corner. He's got a very good arm. What he has to show is he can get something other than the fastball over the plate. If he does, that 96 is going to hold him in pretty good stead.
Boy, he looks just like his dad, doesn't he?
Exactly.
Here's Melky, 0 for 2 with a walk.
Steve Bedrosian, his father, won the National League Cy Young Award in 1987 with the Philadelphia Phillies.
Pick him up, Melky. One to count. Watch out, Joe. His dad pitched 14 big league seasons. Philly, San Francisco, and Minnesota. Pitched 14 years in the big leagues, and he's done something.
Especially with all that it entails to be a closer. He was a closer most of his career.
$37,142. A little over their average of 36,742. Pretty good job on that breaking ball down and in from a right-hander.
He's able to spoil most of them.
Yeah.
Tough to put that ball in play, and it's good if you can.
Well, he didn't put many of them in play. No. He just fouls them off.
It's good if you can fall them down the line and not off your foot or your knee.
Fastball into Mike Trout territory. 7th inning stretch. We lead it by 4.
We got a new pitcher coming in the ball game, and it is Nate Jones. He'll face the top of the order here in the bottom of the 7th inning. There's a look at the hard-throwing right-hander. He's on for the 5th time. He's yet to give up anything. 7 strikeouts, no walks in 4 1/3 innings.
Top of the order for the Halos here in the bottom of the 7th. It'll be Victorino, Calhoun, and Trout. First pitch strike, 98. Victorino, 1 for 3. That single, hard single in the left field in the first inning, and he came around to score. Again at 98. Jose Quintana. Good job. Again, good move. He gone. The old slider, 298s, and grabs a bench.
Well, if Nate's going to get this one even close to the zone, right-handers might as well go home because you've got 0 chance.
Grab some
90 miles an hour at the knees on the outside corner. No chance.
If you can't hit his fastball and put that in the play, you're in trouble. So here's Cole Calhoun. He's 2 for 3 with a run scored. Change up, high and wide. Yeah, that 98 and that slider right there makes some of those converted switch hitters think about a little retro.
Now, I'm not sure if Victorino would have had much of a chance left-handed, but he had 0 chance right-handed.
A little bit high. 2-1 to count. Back and get it. 3-1. Another one at 98. RBI double in the first. He walked in the third, and he singled in the 5th. So these are fun matchups here when you get 2 talented youngsters. That one at 97. That was a get me over. Out has faced Nate 7 times and he has 1 hit. Slider strike. Calhoun just a short lead. Ball hit sharply. Rack 'em up. Beautiful turn right there by Alexei and Sanchez. And that'll retire the side. We're into the 8th, leading 6-2.
This one of the very quick variety. Lexi gets rid of it quickly, and Carlos at second base. Hard to believe the turn to get it there, especially when Calhoun is bearing down at him, but he got it off as quickly as you could expect to double a man who doesn't get doubled up very much.
Well, Carlos is going to take the hit. He's going to stand there and get that throw off, even if you knock him in the left field afterwards. So here is Avi. He's 0 for 2 with an intentional walk. Six, 9-0 for us. 2-8-0 for them. Looks up. One hops the fence, so the leadoff double by Avi. And that's his 15th two-bagger.
Grossian's got a good fastball, but his slider needs a little refinement. This is a slider on the outer third, and Avi hits the daylights out of it. Looked up and realized that there was no way that he could get to it.
So they put the shift on for Adam. Adam's 1 for 3 with a run scored. Pitch is outside, called a strike. That ball hit hard. They look up. You can put it on the board. Yes. A 2-run blast by LaRoche, and it's an 8-2 Sox lead. And that's our 100th homer. We've been sitting on 99 for a while.
Our fourth drive of the game, and it's a fastball. It's on the outer third. It's down, and it's number 11. RBIs 38 and 39 for LaRoche.
Well, Alexei is 1 for 3. Of course, with that home run by Adam. Alex Nellia's family and Christine O'Reilly will hook up with White Sox charities, loving the memory of Ursula. Breaking ball.
Cesar Ramos loosening up in the pen.
Down past Debo. Boston. Just joining us, mentioned earlier, Sox like an 8-game losing streak here. Big A. Also, the last 4 years, the Angels have won the season series. Coming into the night, it was tied at 3 games apiece. Also, Jose Quintana trying to get his first career victory over the Halos. He was 0-3. And that's up high.
Playing fantasy baseball, MLB.tv serves up real-time highlights and pitch tracking info on your out-of-market fantasy players live or on demand on over 400 devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details.
So here's Soto. And that ball into right center field. Off the wall. So Alexei in the third. Now he could have made it. He didn't know it.
Vital was going to kick it around as much as he did.
So the double by Gio.
Well, that's going to be it for Bedrosian, who's been hit awfully hard here in the 8th. He's going to depart. Ramos is going to come in. And we'll step out and be back after these messages. on for the 48th time, and so Mike Scioscia is emptying out his bullpen, getting a lot of people some work. Ramos, the 4th Angel pitcher of the night.
So 2 in, 2 on. Infield in, far. Sanchez, who is 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run scored. And the pitch is fouled away right side. Face Thompson on deck. That pitch is low. Evans accounted 1. To the right. Thompson 8 runs on 12 hits. And 2 runs on 8 hits. Breaking ball, and he chops it foul. Got him right there. Couldn't pull the trigger. 1 out.
Couple of slow breaking balls, and then he went to the fastball, put it right on the corner.
So Trace hitting for Adam Eaton, who was 2 for 3, a double, a single, sacrifice fly, stolen base, run scored. Pitch nicely. And Evans counted 1. Alexei at third. Soto at second. Two balls, 2 strikes. He knew it.
That time there was no guesswork as he looked at one. the good part of the plate. After slow breaking balls, even 89 looks pretty good.
Those Angel pitchers can't learn a little something after watching Jared Weaver last night. Something's wrong. That slow curveball of his, it was amazing how much break it had, and it wasn't hanging. It was fairly sharp, especially for a slow curveball. Most of the time, those slow curveballs, they just roll.
He was able to get a lot of spin on it, which is the key to the break, and it didn't matter what speed he threw it at, anywhere from 63 to 69, but they all had pretty good bite, and most of them were in the strike zone.
That one on the inside corner, so nothing in two. Tyler's 2 for 3 with a sacrifice bunt, an RBI, and a run scored. So Ramos comes on, strikes out the side, go to the bottom of the 8th, leading by 6.
Hit the Angels 12-8, 5 runs in the 5th, and that's a lot of production. Quintana was very good again, 6 innings, 8 hits, a couple of earned runs, and Adam Eaton 2 for 3 with a double, a sacrifice fly, and a run. He's out of the ball game in favor of Trace Thompson. Honda, great deals are happening at the Honda Summer Clearance Event, now at your Honda dealer. So there is Trace Thompson as he pinch hit for Adam Eaton, takes over in center field. Jake Petricka comes in the game to pick up an inning. He's 3-3, his ERA a touch above 3.5 on for the 49th time. So Adam Jones with a good inning, a strikeout, a walk, and a double play in his 1 inning of work.
It'll be Pujols, Cron, and Ibar. Albert is grounded hard to short, walked, and singled. Just tuning in, a couple of one-hit shutouts in Major Leagues. Just Archer, 1 hit. Houston, Tampa Bay won it 1-0. Alfredo Simon of the Tigers, 1 hit. The Rangers, Detroit won it 4-0. Alexi got a hurry. Yes. He took his time. He knew who was running. So here's C.J. Cron, son of Chris. Used to be with the White Sox. Cron 0 for 3. Takes first pitch strike. Just Cron, nice man. Good breaking ball. Quick. Oh, and 2.
Tried to put him away with that slider, but missed down and away.
That one at 99. Chopper. Alexei on the move. 2 down.
Sox fans, you can manage the game along with Robin by logging on to WGNTV.com and click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner for the latest stats and information. Sox Game Zone is powered by Robert Morris, University of Illinois, offering over 55 athletic teams, more than any other university in the state. For more information on RMU, visit robertmorris.edu.
Here's Ibar. 0 for 3, and he's had 2 real good plays made on him. He could be 2 for 3. Takes first pitch, fastball, strike.
Just barely able to get a piece of that one.
On the move, very quick release. And that'll do it. Nice 1-2-3 inning for the Jake Meister. We're into the 9th.
Chris Sale going against Felix Hernandez. 32 walks, 208 strikeouts, and 157 in the third for Chris. Felix Hernandez coming off maybe the worst outing of his career. As these two aces go head-to-head tomorrow night in Seattle.
Some changes for the Halos. We'll get to them. As here is Abreu. 3 RBIs in this game. Had a ground ball single in the first. Checked the ground ball to the shortstop in the first inning, knocking a run, and a 2-run double in the 5th. Hopper.
Shane Victorino slides from left field over into center. Mike Trout out of the game. David DeJesus checks in the game in left field. And we got a new shortstop, Ryan Jackson.
Here's Melky. Melky 0 for 3 with the base on balls. Takes ball 1. Minnesota 15-2. Ball. Eduardo Escobar. Homer. A double. Up RBIs. And Miguel Sano hit his 10th home run. Sano, big man, 6'4", 260.
One thing was able to stop him was elbow surgery. That kept him out for the better part of a year and a quarter. But he can hit.
Two and 1 to count. So 2 out, that'll bring up Bobby. Bobby's 1 for 3, a double and a run scored. Big hack. There are guys in the 9th. It'll be the lower third of their order. We scored 1 in the first, 5 in the 5th. In fact, 5 in the 5th. We had scored just 4 runs in the first 3 games. And we added 2 more in the 8th. Into center field. Victorino was there, so a nice 2 innings of work right there. Ramos. And we'll go to the bottom of the 9th leading. Big.
Chuck will check in the ball game in left field. And Dan Jennings will come in the game to try to wrap it up. So it was Quintana for 6, Jones for 1, Petrichka for 1, and Dan Jennings on for the 33rd time. He's 1-3. His ERA just under 5.5.
So here's Giovatello. He is 1 for 3. That single back in the second. He tried to stretch it. A double, and Navi just fired a bullet to Alexei. A little offline. Alexei made the catch and then the tag. One down. So here's Ionetta. That one low and away. Nice into right field. Ivy is there. So 2 out. Here comes Caleb Cowell looking for his first major league hit. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Big hack. Eight 12-0 for us, 2-8-0 for them. Just off the plate. Ball game is over. So the Sox break an 8-game losing streak here at the Big A. They win the season series 4-3. And Jose Quintana, who pitched well, gets his first career win over these Halos.
He also finds out what it's like to get a whole lot of runs. So we'll be back after these messages.